Hi everybody, Miss Ortega here. Today I am going to help you all with the interview. So now you've gone and passed your board exam on your first try, and you've now placed applications, and now you're being called in for an actual interview. How can you do it to make sure that they choose you at that interview? Well, in this YouTube video, I'm going to show you some slides and follow my PowerPoint while I do so. And please get to an area where you can whip out some scratch paper and a pen, and please take notes, because at the end of this, no matter what I teach you right now, it's going to take some rehearsal on your part. So make sure you write everything down. All right, so you have got to be first and foremost in an interview that really cute personality of yours where you are just, you're really shy, or you're just a little bit conservative. You just kind of keep to yourself unless spoken to. Real cute and sweet and lovely about you, but you can't be that at an interview. For the next 30 minutes, you're going to have to come out of your shell, come out of your comfort zone, and go into these dark, these big black areas where you never really, have to go, and be able to become or be Hollywood's best actress or actor. For those next 30 minutes, you have got to make sure that they like you. My gosh, they have got to like you. In this day and age, if it's not until you make a prospective employer like you that they will actually listen to you. Well, once they like you and they're listening to you, they're going to trust you. And once they can trust you, they're going to want to do business with you. When he comes out into the lobby area and you're sitting there with your prayers that please let them hire me, when he comes out to that waiting room to call your name, and he asks to shake your hand, he goes to shake your hand, excuse me. Women, it's really a good idea for you to place, whether it be a gentleman or a female about to interview you, but take that left hand of yours and place it very softly, very gently over their hand. Because the fact of the matter is, the person interviewing you is just as nervous. It's not easy for them. It's awkward. You're a perfect stranger. They don't know you. And it's just a very warm feeling that you can give to that prospective employer about you, that makes them think, wow, that was really nice. I like her. I like him. Now, gentlemen, don't be creepy. Now, you may not want to put your hand over the woman's hand, because a woman, we could interpret that, we could misinterpret that and think, oh my gosh, they're trying to make a move. And most definitely, of course, you don't want to do that with another gentleman. For the gentleman, just give a nice firm handshake. For a female, not so firm. Don't hurt her. Okay. But it is very, very important how how a woman can place her left hand over the hand that's actually shaking, and what a big difference that makes in your peace and in their peace. My God, you can exude some amazing, ridiculous, extreme amount of confidence by eye contact. And I'm not talking about eye contact, every now and then, but I'm talking about when she says, you know what, here's the seat right here, Delissa, go ahead and have a seat right here. And, I can make my way over to the chair, and I can just kind of, once I have a seat, I can just kind of, and just kind of look out the window and look out over at her every now and then. That's not going to work. Okay, so what we're talking about is, she says, so Delissa, right here, I have a seat for you. Go ahead and make yourself at home. And so I walk over and I get into my chair and I say, absolutely, yes, thank you so much for having me. And I've got my eye contact going, and I do not move away. I'm smiling, I'm pleasant, and I am here for you. I am here with you. Very, very, very important. We want to make sure that in every interview we sit up and real nice posture. And sometimes we make it over to an interview, and by golly, it's not even a single person conducting the interview. We find out it's a panel interview. It's 2 people, 3 people. But you know what? We are Hollywood's best actor and actress, and we are not going to show nervous. We are nervous, but we're not going to show it. We just sit there, very much lots of posture and pleasant and smiling, maybe looking at them, maybe looking out the window and back at them, but you are self-assured. You are dying inside maybe, but you are self-assured. And I've talked to a few people that weren't exactly getting the call to come in for many calls, but they weren't asking them to come in for the interview. And after talking with them, I find out it's because of all the objections they state in an interview. So on the left-hand side, the woman here states, "Oh, I can work whenever you need me." And on the right-hand side, the gentleman says, "I can work whenever you need me, except, Monday through Wednesday from 2 to 4:30, Friday from 5 to 11, and Sunday for..." Okay, you are never going to get the job. So at the interview, it's very important to tell them, "I can work whenever you need me. I'm at your disposal." So now the thing is, and maybe you can't, but for the first 90 days, you're going to have to. And once you've gotten hired, and once you've shown your company for the first in Q1 and Q1 that you are a difference maker, that you are worth your value, then you can at that point start asking them, "Can you work with me a little bit? I've got to get the little girl out the daycare at a certain hour. If I were to get here a little bit earlier and still get all my work done," and you'd be surprised how accommodating they'll be with you, but you're going to have to prove yourself first, those 90 days. Now, I always tell my students, I know that you're nervous. You went through a 3-day course. You got so much thrown at you, but one thing that you've got on your side right now is that you're dying to take the exam, and you are. But yet now the real world hits, and it's time to go out into the industry and become an actual board certified working medical coder. That's different. So now, what tends to set in is nerves. Like, oh no, I didn't learn everything. I don't know absolutely everything. Well, nobody does. That's what I want to tell you all. Nobody learns everything right out of the chute. This is a constant, ever-growing type of career. You are always going to learn. And what you didn't get taught in the 3-day course, by golly, we gave you the tools in the 3-day course to be able to make you go into your industries and figure it out. So I want to bring peace to you all and calm you down, and don't be stressed and wasting your time and energy on something that is a moot point out in the industry. You're not going to you won't have learned everything. You will be taught, your hand will be held, most especially if you're going as a CPCA. They realize this is your first time to work as a medical coder in the real world. They're going to take you by the hand. They're going to train you. Someone is going to show you the billing software. Someone's going to show you, how the medical charts work. They're going to show you how to use NCCI edits. They're going to show you how to use Coding Clinic, CPT Assistant, and there you go. And every day you make strides. You make milestones in terms of headway. And so you will have a hard time. I'm not going to lie to you. It is completely true that you will go into your industries and you will have a lot of questions, and you're going to find out that, man, I didn't learn this and I don't know that, but hey, today I asked the young lady next to me and I found out, and now I learned this, and so you're going to be learning, for the first month, sometimes 2 full months, but by the 3rd month, my gosh, you'll start to realize that I am coding everything. Every day, all day long, I'm coding the same exact thing. And now I'm to a point where I can do this with my eyes closed. And it becomes the easiest job on the planet. It is something incredible. And it's up to you at that point to continue working there, or look for maybe look to ask them, "Hey, is there any way I can take this skill set of mine and I've increased revenue here at your practice the first quarter, and now the second quarter I have proven myself. Is there any way I can take this equipment home and go code from the house? I need a little bit more flexibility with the kids and all. I've proven my job. I'm worth my value to you, my paycheck to you. can I do this from the house? And my gosh, you have no idea. I can't begin to tell you how many coders of mine work at the workplace for a couple of months, and then definitely not even 6 months later, they're working remotely from home because their providers trust them, because their providers saw that this coder came through their facility and increased revenue, something that they hadn't seen before. So going back to an interview, you say, well, how in the world do I make someone like me? And how can I do that? Well, number one, be very affirmative. And you know, when the prospective employer is talking to you and they're trying to tell you about their company, which they do quite often in the very beginning, you know, your reaction is key. You know, are you into them? Are you treating them like they were the only person in the planet? Are you into them? When they're speaking to you, are you nodding your head? Are you saying, oh, that's right. Yes, I agree with you. Makes total sense. Wow, what an honor. What a privilege. I actually, I did research your website prior to attending today, and what an honor. Your mission statement, I am very, very proud, and how proud I would be to be a part of that. You know, so a lot of affirmation, a lot of body language that I am with you, I am here with you. And lots of times you find that they ask, excuse me, they ask you very few questions. They ended up doing all the talking, and it was because they liked you. You were so likable that they did all the talking, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know what, we kind of like you. When can we start, right? And learn to be a yes, yes, yes person. When you get told at an interview that, you know, something that maybe you didn't learn about or you're not too quite clear about, nod your head. Don't, oh yes, 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 I know all about that from A to Z. No, that's not right. But you want to just assure them, maybe with a nod, that, you know what, yes, 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 I've heard of that. You know, and then you just make a mental note that, you know what, they mentioned this word to me, I heard it, but I need to study it more. So why don't I go home this weekend and research that some more? That way, when they call me back for the second interview, I'll be very well versed in that. So, you know, definitely, you know, you want to be a yes, yes, yes person. When they start talking about something and it's completely over your head, you never really heard of it, the worst thing you can do is say, yeah, so sorry, I don't know what you're talking about, you know, and then you wonder why you don't get hired. So that is not the way to behave ourselves in an interview. So I'm going to run through a little interview with you, just a little bit of a play with you if I can. Usually I play this out with a student in front of me, but I'll just do it by myself, do the best I can. You know, so the prospective employer, you're right there with him, and he says, you know, so tell me, Sue, why should I hire you? Don't you hate that question? It's like, good gosh, ask me anything but that, you know, because when I answer this question, I'm going to sound like I'm bragging, right? But here you go, you give it your best effort. And so poor little Sue, she says, well, sir, because I am punctual. I am loyal. I am hardworking, dependable, organized, a great communicator, and because I'm an exemplary team player. That's why you should hire me. And so you think, you know, for the YouTube viewers out there watching me right now, I mean, that all sounds wonderful. I mean, it sounds pleasant and positive, and that's just if you really think about it, it's a gracious way to respond. The problem is the employer's thinking, great, now I'm bored with you, because everyone, all day long, I've ever interviewed, all day, all week, everyone answered like that. So they're bored with you. So we got to think to ourselves, what in the world, you know, can I possibly state at an interview to get their attention? I don't want to bore them. I don't want to sound like the other person. So have you ever seen this character right here before? I'm sure you have, Mr. Scooby-Doo. Okay, so picture this. What if I'm a dentist, and what if I've got a patient in the chair and I say, oh my gosh, Amy, I am doing this oral exam on you, and I am telling you, I am just too proud of you right now. My goodness, these teeth, they're just so sparkly and just so white. I mean, you must be brushing 3 to 4 times a day, and let alone flossing. I mean, this here is definitely a mouth where I know you have been flossing anywhere between 4 to 6 times a day. And just the sparkle in your teeth. Now, I do want to call some attention on tooth number 19. I do see a bit of an abscess. And all of a sudden you get this Scooby-Doo moment, the Scooby-Doo reaction. What happened? I just got Amy's attention. Everything was going just fine and lovely until the dentist said abscess. That word abscess made Amy sit straight up in her chair like, what? Okay, now you got my attention. And that's what we're trying to do in an interview. So how can you, what is it that you can state, you know, in an interview that'll just blow them away and make an impression? Well, I'll take you back to when I was doing interviews. I haven't done any in quite a while, so I'm a little bit out of practice, but I'll do the best I can. Let's do take 2, okay? Let's do take 2 on the same interview. So we're going to start all over again, and this time we're going to interview Sherry. So he says, so tell me, Sherry, why should I hire you? And so Sherry says, well, sir, because protecting the licenses of my providers, my doctors, is a matter of life or death to me. You know, how much a coder knows is a moot point until they find out how much a coder cares about what they actually do for that company. Sounds better, right? So, life or death, who uses those kind of words? Nobody. And you're trying to grab their attention. So Sherry goes on to say, beyond that, I differ from the rest because I'm absolutely obsessed about every last dollar, persistent and absolutely unreasonable about claim denials and non-payments. At the end of the day, sir, you don't bet on company goals. You bet on people. It's not about hiring a coder for this company. It's about who gets to be a coder with your company, sir. Those are the kind of things, guys, that I said at the interview. Always, always. And the crazy thing is, I always got told, you know, after just having shaken hands and having a seat, I always got told, you know, we've got quite a few resumes to get through, and it's going to be this is not going to be a same-day decision with us, and we just want you to be aware. So just so we're clear, we'll call you back and let you know if you're chosen. And I always thought to myself, I always answered, well, sure, that makes sense. And then, but I thought to myself, yeah, we'll see about that, you know, because I was going to have to it was either close or be closed, right? They're going to close me. They're going to convince me on why they're not going to hire me right here today, or I was going to convince them on why they absolutely needed to. One way, right? Someone was going to be closing and someone was going to be sold. And you know, it's funny because I got back from a city here recently. Well, not that recent. It's actually been a while now. But I heard I was doing this, acting this out in a classroom setting, and I said, well, all of a sudden you heard from the very back row a young lady that said, Miss Ortega, I mean, really? I mean, the way you're talking up there and expecting us to talk, you know, in an interview the way you did, I mean, it's just a little bit, I mean, you have to admit, it's a little bit of overkill. I mean, don't you think? I just thought, girl, I'm not sure what you drove up in today. And, you know, but this is how I got here. Which, by the way, I didn't. I drove up in a rental car, in a Versa. But that's beside the point, right? The point is, guys, I did not get to where I am today using regular words. Okay? I did not get to the point where I am today using regular words. Well, okay, not always, but I just about always got hired on the spot. And this is after being told that they would not be making a same-day decision. I almost always got hired on the spot. Now, I also got fired a lot, but that's besides the point. I was also getting fired a lot because I was always fighting for my students and their education. with these vocational colleges. But, you know, so I'm not trying to brag out there that I got hired on the spot all the time, which I did, but I am not bragging. You know, it's just I realized at a very young age that it was closed or be closed. You know, and I would go into more elaboration throughout the interview. I would say, you know, sir, I'm not into the status quo. While the other coders give up on getting a claim paid, excuse me, I'm strategizing and thinking fast on my feet. I believe in getting to the root of the problem stat because time is money. 99% of the time, it's my conviction that outdoes the conviction of the health plan, and that's why I get the money. So take these gems and jewels that I've thrown at you today, and I realize that maybe it doesn't fit with your personality, it doesn't flow with your personality, but practice it. Maybe take what I've stated to you, write it down, tweak it to where it does sound like you, to where you are comfortable. But it's like I say, you're going to need to rehearse it so that by the time you get to the interview, it flows naturally and it has become an actual part of you. It's very, very important at the close of an interview when that manager or that person interviewing is trying to dismiss you, that thank you very much for coming in, we'll call you later, you know, that kind of a thing. Guys, it is very, very important not to just say, oh, okay, thanks, and then just kind of walk away. Because that's a loser. You don't want to be a loser. You know, leave there a winner. And as soon as they try to dismiss you, you shake that hand and you place that hand over the hand that's shaking, and you say, absolutely, Mary, listen, thank you so much for having me. When will you be making a decision? And that's the question you ask. And all of a sudden, you know, Mary says, oh, sorry about that. Yes, actually, we will be making a decision this Friday. Does that work for you? And that's how it goes, guys. You know, and here's the thing, that prospective employer just gained a massive amount of respect for you because she found out, or he found out, that you value yourself, that your time was precious, that your time is valuable, that you just sat there for 30 minutes, gave them your all, and they're just going to dismiss you? I don't think so. They don't want somebody with wishbone. They want somebody with backbone in that company, most especially the person that they're going to lean on to be in charge of the income or the revenue of that practice. Grab their email so that you can send them a quick thank you or follow-up letter, and always follow up in a very timely fashion that evening or the very next day. Create a portfolio and go in with a brag book, you know, letters of recommendations from many people, from myself even. And by the way, I can do that for you with a few. I will do that for you as long as you put a smile on my face in a 3-day course, and I remembered you with a smile. You know, but it takes, I guess, at the end of the day in an interview, it takes being brassy, okay? Just like this on the slide, it takes being brassy in an interview. This whole question about, so just exactly how much are you looking to make here? Okay, so that question right there. Oh, I'm open. Guess what? They're going to be wide open to paying you $16 an hour. Please do not respond like that. Instead, what you want to do as a CPCA, you want to say, I'm going to need $24 an hour. Or as a CPC, I'm going to need $28 an hour. And you just sit there and you own it, and you don't get nervous, and you don't say, or less, you know, I mean, at this point, I'll just take, you know, anything for the opportunity. No, that's not how you do it. So, you know, understand that you may have a lot of questions, you may still be learning and growing, but by golly, you need to understand that you're about to work your tush off for this company. You are going to be married to this company. It is going to become your everything to increase revenue in that practice. Own it at that interview and say, I'm going to need, as a CPCA, I'm going to need $23 an hour. And own it and just sit there until they come back at you and they say, oh, well, really, we're kind of used to starting out our CPCAs at 21. Oh, I see. Well, I was, with everything that I've got, my finances and my bills, I'm going to really need 23 an hour. Is there any way you can possibly match that or come close to it? And that's how you do it. And you know what? It becomes this either they will or won't. And if you absolutely have to come down and match them, then maybe you do for the first 3 months to 6 months, but you will get in very, very short order, you will make it to where you want to be financially. So, okay. And then I always get the question, Mr. Tega, I think I'm just like way too nervous to just go right on into work. So maybe I should just go beg someone to let me do an internship. Okay. I'm not in agreement with that. Again, I think that you're going to be working way too hard, way too soon, way too fast, and for you to be working for free for anybody. So I don't think it's absolutely necessary, and I know I wouldn't ever do it. I would go in there making my $23 to $28 an hour, and I would state, and I would get in there, and although I have a lot of questions and I'm still learning, I would still work. I would work late. And I would just work late, and I just won't leave here until I've captured everything, I've processed everything, I've understood everything, I've researched everything, so that tomorrow I have a better day. But I don't agree with internships. My students hardly ever have anybody come out of the academy and gone to an internship. I've gotten some calls here and there that, Mr. Tega, I'm not getting the interview, I'm not getting the call, and I always say apply anyway. Make sure you catch that video. Ultimately, everyone gets a job. I just gave a smashing reference with a prospective employer just yesterday for one of my students from Ocean City. Another one last week from San Diego. And I mean, I do this kind of thing all the time. So I want you all to know that I purposely leave my resume on the internet to see how hot the industry is. And because I want the prospective employers to call me, I want to network with them. I want to be able to form relationships so that when my students are become board certified, I already have connections for them. I'm already a trusted resource for that hiring agency, and all I've got to say is, I know you want to hire me desperately, but I will never be able to work for you because I am teaching. But let me tell you about this one girl in my class. Her name was Roseanne. She blew me away. She was outstanding, and if I had it in my capacity to be able to hire her, I would hire her in a split second. Please call her up. Here's her resume. And those are the kind of things that I can do for you all, if I remember you with a smile on my face, right? When they say to you that, you know what, Sherry, do you have any questions for us? The worst thing we can say is that we don't have any questions. Of course we have questions. So come with a list of questions ready to go, and ready to be talked about, and discussed in an interview. So again, I can't put everything on YouTube, but again, this is a snapshot of what I do in a 3-day in-class course. And so I could go on. This video would be super long. Be ready, because nowadays they are testing you. They are testing you. They are giving you, after they like you and you've impressed them and you've like, you know what, we like her. And we're going to give her 20 questions, some real quick, simple, straight to the point coding scenarios. And let's tell her to take these 3 books and go into the next room and take her test, and then, give it back to us when she's ready. If you are a very nervous type person, come in with a legit excuse ready to go. Say like, I'd love to do that. The thing is, I've got to get to this other appointment. Is there any way I could bring that to you in the morning? And then, 9 times out of 10, guys, they say, you know what, we're going to email it to you. And as long as you can get that back to us by Friday, that would be magnificent. But if you aren't a nervous person and you're like, yeah, I'll take a test, the only thing I will tell you is go to an interview with your books from the academy, the way we helped you tab them, all your little notes and so forth. It's not a good idea to take test with a prospective employer with very naked books, their books that are nowhere near like yours. It could actually affect you. But the same coding guidelines that we teach you in this 3-day course is the same coding guidelines they're going to quiz you on for those 20 questions. So, don't be afraid. But if you know yourself and you're going to be nervous anyway, there is nothing wrong with saying, is there any way I could bring this back to you? And again, 9 times out of 10, they will say, you know what, we will just ship it to you. A part of my life that nobody ever really gets to find out until they make it to my 3-day course is that I have a huge sales background. I'd gone to medical billing and coding school. I went right into the industry and fell on my face because apparently I had learned goose egg. And I had been taught everything medical terminology, everything anatomy and physiology. And I could quote you exactly how the blood pumped to and from, but I could not code. Because this vocational college that I attended taught me everything except for how to code. So I worked as a coder many years in my life, went from there to the insurance company, and then I performed auditing, and then from there I discovered that I loved to teach, and instead of making it to a really high auditing level in my career, I fell in love with teaching. So I transitioned into the education sector of this industry. And as a teacher working at a vocational college, I'll just be very outright with you all. I was earning $19 an hour to teach at these vocational colleges. There were no benefits. It was part-time, and so I didn't have medical insurance. I didn't have money. I was broke as you could be. Not making ends meet financially. And praise God, I had somebody in my family that knew I was really struggling financially. And she said to me, why don't you come over here and work at this dental facility that I work at? I'm the manager, and I could really, get you in. And I was like, no, I don't even know how many teeth are in my mouth. I don't want to do anything with dental, and so long story short, I ended up doing sales. I actually sold dental implants for a duration of my life. I'd say in total about 7 years. And I discovered something about myself that I would have never thought. But it was my job to get in front of a patient, a prospective patient, get them to trust me, get them to trust my doctors and our equipment and our OR, our anesthesiologist, and get them to basically shove over $45,000 to get all their teeth replaced. They'd have all these failing teeth. It's not anything that insurance would cover, so they'd have to either write a check or I'd have to convince them to do on-the-spot financing with me. And it was, the next thing you knew, I became the #1 salesperson across the nation. It was 76 salespeople across the nation who had, and I was competing against people that had these massive resumes of selling houses and land and cars, and here I come along and I've sold nothing, and yet I was right up there, neck and neck with all the #1 salespeople for that amount of years. And it was during that time that I finally made better income, and but I missed medical coding, so I would teach medical coding at night. I would leave my day job, go and teach in the evenings 2 to 3 times a week or on the weekends. So I never really left the coding sector, but it's something in me, guys, where I'm a little bit of an anomaly because I basically have 2 talents in this life of mine. I can teach and I can sell. And so I can't cook you. Please don't think I'm bragging, because I'm not. I can't do anything else, apparently. I can't cook, I can't clean, I can't sew you a button. But I can definitely do those 2 things, and I praise God for those talents and those gifts that he entrusted to me, because I'm able to really help, not just educate my students, but help them land the job. It's probably my second favorite thing to do in this life right now of mine is first to teach, but second to be able to hop on that phone with a prospective employer that you've already interviewed with, and now you've used my name with my permission as a reference, And now I get to be on the phone with them, and they ask me, what is it that I can, how is it, what is it that I can state about you that'll solidify basically their decision in hiring you. And boy, you have never ever, I mean, you have never seen anybody go on and on about a student the way I do when I am trying to sell you. And I will sell you as long as you put a smile on my face in those 3 days. I say that, guys, because I've had a few unruly students here and there, and of course I'm not going to do that. But praise God, most of you are little angels. But oh my God, you just cannot, get me to shut up about you once I get going about you. And I have never, ever to this day hung up the phone with a prospective employer and they don't turn right around, call you up and say, you know what, Sarah, when can you start? So that you can take to the bank. All right, for those of you out there worried about, well, am I really going to get a job? You're going to get the job. You're going to get the job. And I will see to it. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching.